Hello, I'm Josie, and my topic is underage drinking in teen dramas. Underage drinking was a big concept in teen dramas in both television and film, with early 2000s was filmed with OC, Gossip Girl, One Tree Hill, Dawson's Creek, and all of them had a commonality of underage drinking. It was a serious problem, however, it has gotten better. It hasn't completely gone away, but there is hope for the future. It's more important from what I've seen in TV and movies that it's more focused when the mother or the father or both of the parents are absent. And underage drinking occurs in people starting at the age of 15, which is when people are entering high school, coming from the Center for Behavioral Health Stats and Quality Natural Service on Drug Use and Health in 2018. By age 15, about 29.8% of teens have at least had one drink. By age 18, about 58% of teens have at least had one drink. And in my paper, I talked about certain episodes of One Tree Hill, which ran from 2003 to 2012, Riverdale, which is 2007 to present, and Gossip Girl from 2007 to 2012. I also looked at the movie Clueless, which came out in 1995, and I want to talk about why underage drinking is talked about so heavily, and the concept of binge drinking. And binge drinking is, for males, it's when they have 5 or more drinks within a 2-hour period, and for females, it's 4 or more drinks in that same period. And also talk about like risky behavior with like alcohol poisoning and excessive drinking and how it can take a toll. Clueless is obviously about a film about Cher and her kind of lifestyle and then the new school year starts, so new character Ty, who's played by Brittany Murphy, decides to do a makeover. Then everything goes wrong, and she falls in love with her ex-stepbrother, Josh, who's played by Paul Rudd, and there's underage drinking in there. And I think the underage drinking, to me, shows she wanted to go because she wanted to prove that she was more popular. She already is pretty popular, but to prove more. And from Silveri, who is in my paper, a quote from her: alcohol significantly impairs learning and memory loss in teens. It's very true, because in the movie, Cher gets dropped off in the middle of a parking lot. She has to find her own way home. She does have her purse, but while she was in the car with the guy, he tried to kiss her multiple times, and obviously didn't work. Very wrong of him to do, and a guy should never have to force himself. They both had been drinking. Very bad combination of getting behind the wheel, driving drunk. So Cher is used to having this rich dad getting what she wants. She has popularity. She doesn't necessarily have love, but at the end of the movie she does. Happiness, but money can't always buy those things. Sometimes you have to find them deeper in yourself. The character of Cher reminds me of TV characters like Blair Waldorf from Gossip Girl, Catherine Pierce from Vampire Diaries, Allison De Laurentiis from Pretty Little Liars, Regina George from Mean Girls, and Victoria Grayson from Revenge. They're all like snobby and snooty, and Cher just reminds me a lot of them. And then I also talked about Riverdale, which is based on the Archie comics. It came out in the 1940s, and then in 2017 they decided to transform it into a TV show. And since then it's widely popular. The writing could use a little bit of work. And talked about The Lost Weekend, which is mainly about Betty Cooper wants to plan a surprise birthday party for her boyfriend Jughead, and it goes wrong. And then Cheryl Blossom, who's another main character, her and this guy named Chuck come in with lots of people. They have a keg. Cheryl wants to play a game where secrets are revealed. And then everything kind of just goes awry. Archie has to talk to his ex-girlfriend who has a red Solo cup in her hand, and they're obviously all under 21. And it just exhibits underage drinking in so many ways. There's a source that I found. They did a survey that said drinking rates are decreasing faster among the economically better off. So characters like Veronica Lodge, more rich characters, and among boys, which is very interesting for a number of reasons, because in the episode you see of Riverdale and the movie Clueless, you see girls drinking more than guys. And it was also found in the same survey that underage drinking in girls is more, it's decreasing less, which is very interesting. The party could be seen as a move to get more popularity by Betty, not necessarily for Jughead because he hates his birthday. And from the episode, you can kind of see that Veronica and Cheryl are drinking the most, which could be related to they both have deep-rooted daddy issues. And it can be one reason why they might drink excessively. Moving on to One Tree Hill, it follows the lives of 7 high schoolers, but it really starts with the relationship between Lucas and Nathan Scott. From there, it expands to Haley James, Brooke Davis, Peyton Sawyer, and Mouth McFadden. It takes place in Tree Hill, North Carolina, but it's filmed in Wilmington, which is like not that far from Charlotte. It started in 2003, ended in 2012, and I talked about 2 episodes, and they really focused on the influence of alcohol and that how it can influence your decisions. First episode I talked about was Sad Songs for Dirty Lovers. And basically there's a big party that Nathan Scott has because his mom is coming home from rehab. And she was addicted to drugs and alcohol. So he's got all this alcohol in the house. They had just won the state championship. It's the night before prom. So he decides to have a big party. And things don't go great. Haley and Haley and Rachel have this big blowout fight. There's a big slap involved. Just very not good things. And then there is, years ago, Brooke, wasn't the very best person, and Nathan was dating Peyton. And Peyton and Nathan had just broken up. So Brooke and Nathan are obviously clearly very drunk. They think it's a good idea to get into bed. Little do they know there's a camera recording them, so of course there's a sex tape. And it comes out during this party in this episode. And there was a 2-year study done and published in the BMJ journal. It was revealed that teens are exposed to alcohol-fueled movies and TV shows are more likely to progress. Binge drinking teens being exposed to movies that feature alcohol use led to 28% of kids drinking, and of those teens, 20% moved on to binge drinking. The next episode is kind of that I talked about, One Tree Hill, is kind of the graduation party. I must have seen like 100 Solo cups, and it was just lots of drinking, lots of alcohol, drugs. And one of the people that had a Solo cup in her hand was Haley, and she had just given birth to her child, James Lucas Scott, 2 weeks earlier, so maybe drinking was not the best decision on her part. There was a keg stand, alcohol-induced sex. It was just... And according to Boyoung Joy Jane, a researcher at the Institute for Social Research at Michigan, the first author of a study that appeared in the May issue of the Journal Pediatrics, he said that frequent binge drinking is not decreasing as rapidly among members of lower economic groups, African Americans, and girls. And in the 2 episodes of One Tree Hill, we really see the girls drinking a lot more than the guys, which is very interesting because girls are considered lightweights. And excess is very prevalent because, alcohol, drugs, sex, all that fun stuff. And then the last show I talked about, which was Gossip Girl, follows the teens, Serena van der Woodsen, Blair Waldorf, Chuck Bass, and Nate Archibald. Gossip Girl is another main character in the show. She spills everybody's secrets. And then also Jane Humphrey, who lives in Brooklyn. The show mostly takes in the Upper East Side, Upper West. Dan is kind of the loner outside of the group. In the pilot, we see Serena coming back from being away for an entire year. And there's a flashback in the show of Nate and Serena. Nate is dating Blair at the time. Serena's single. And we see Nate sleeping with Serena on the top of a bar at a local bar. And it was something that they should not have been doing. It happened at the wedding. And Blair did not find out until a year after this happened when Serena comes back. So I think it caused a huge friction between Blair and Serena's relationship. She went to boarding school in Connecticut. Quote I found: while American youth may not have kicked back limoncello and champagne as blithely as culture-clad Serena, TV shows like Gossip Girl offer a fair, accurate depiction of teens partying across the country. According to the U.S. Surgeon General's office, underage consumption of beer and alcohol accounts for a quarter of alcohol sales. Drinking is obviously expensive, no matter where you are, but it's very much more expensive if you're in LA, New York City, Dallas, Miami, Atlanta, one of those big cities where all the prices are raised. Serena kind of seems like the floozy. She's a hot mess, including her relationships, her school, her friendships, just everything. And to sum this all up, underage drinking is very prevalent. It's illegal. You shouldn't do it. Even though it's more common in the 2000s drama shows, Riverdale is one of those shows from the past decade that really touches it. And also Clueless from the late 1990s. And one of the quotes that I found was that really applies to Serena van der Woodsen, Brooke Davis, Veronica Lodge, Nate Archibald, and Chuck Bass, and even Blair Waldorf, was drink first, think later. Okay, thanks. Bye.